Oh, hi folks, hope you're well, and I hope you enjoy your video last night. Let the light healing begin, as they say. And thank you for your support. It's very pleasant to read such comments of people who are very positive about the healing properties of light. Anyway, on to pastures new. I'm sick and tired. I've got to do it. I mean, I have to say it. I'll probably be criticised for saying it. God knows why. But I am a little Englander, and historically, I'm English through and through. Like a stick of rock, if you look down, it says "Made in England" all the way down. Um, I'm just so sick and tired of this Brexit crap. You could say, well, why do I bother listening? It doesn't pay my gas bill. That's a flippant cop-out by many people. My brother says this, and it drives me up the wall, to be honest with you, because I think he's selfish sod. Yeah, par for the course there. But why am I disillusioned with this whole European thing? Well, I think it was a terribly bad idea, because if you look at the people who Theresa May insists on kowtowing to at the moment, Donald Tusk being one of them. Ugh. Let's look at let's look at Europe for a moment. Europe. Well, let's cast our mind back to the rise of fascism. Germany, Adolf Hitler, yes. And who supported him? Well, the Bank of England funded Adolf Hitler. So we needn't get so cocky. Well, we didn't, did we? Not Britain. Bank of England is the Rothschilds, folks. And we know what such financial prostitutes they are, funding both sides of a war. So to the Rothschilds, it really doesn't matter a rip which side wins. Hey-ho, everyone's a winner. Yes, if you're funding both sides of the war. This is a classic Zionist thing. If you have three enemies, really, that you need to dispose of or manage, what you do is you get a fight between enemy A and enemy B, leaving C aside for a moment, and you egg them on to have a fight. And you stand back and watch, and there's a fight. Eventually, one of the two sides loses, but the other side is desperately exhausted, financially, physically, yada, yada, yada. There's no appetite anymore for further fighting. They're a bit more, it's a bit like pounding somebody with your fist until they say enough is enough, But then, don't forget, the Zionists have a third enemy they need to deal with. So what they do then is they set the tired lot against the fresh lot that's been waiting in the wings into a fight as well. And that way they destroy each other. Well, they certainly end up with one victory out of three fights, don't they? This is a quick way, you see. This is a way you do it. You never get your dirty hands dirty, folks. Never do that. Always let other people do the fighting and set your enemies against one another. This is how they do it. So when eventually the final fight happens between the two, the one that's left standing, the victor, out of the three countries, is still weak after being in battle. That's when the Zionists smack them, because they're still weak. They're such cowards, these people operating behind the scenes. And this is why in Germany, people, their currency was destroyed, their country was destroyed, and their currency, basically people were carrying around effectively wheelbarrow baskets full of Deutschmark notes, thousands and millions of them, in order to buy a loaf of bread, because the money became worthless. And we don't really know, unless you look for it, the true history and the state of what happened in Germany at the end of the war, when the Russians invaded. If you want to really know the atrocities that men are capable of doing upon one another and doing to the wives and the children, or the women of the children of Germany, well, look at what Russian men did as they advanced into Germany at the latter stages of the war, when they were going to be victorious and they knew it. Mass child rapes, mass women rapes, it was murder, and it was, well, you know, we don't read this in the history books, do we? But all the time, of course, we've got the onlookers like Holland and Belgium and France, the weak nation that it is. Oh, please just come in and make love to our women, but please just, you know, give France away without putting up much of a fight, didn't they, really? Hats off to French resistance, by the way. But hey-ho, never mind. Like spitting in the ocean, isn't it? It doesn't make much difference. The French have always been mealy-mouthed, wet. You know, don't talk to me about the French. Any country that eats frogs' legs and snails has got to be suspect, in my opinion. But look, let's look at them. We got a European community, these plebs, who are now, especially the Germans, Juncker and co, and Donald Tusk, and the Dutch and the German and the French and yada yada yada. They're all saying, Britain's got to do this and Britain's got to do. Let us remind them that if it wasn't for Britain in the Second World War, they'd all be talking bloody German. That's for sure. We wouldn't be at all in the same boat, would we? It would be a different world. But we've still got the Merkel, East Berliner. Yes, fascist bitch. She's still quite in there. We've got Donald Tusk. We've got the other idiots from Germany pushing the boat. Juncker. Juncker's father, grandfather was responsible for building the Junkers bombers in the war. Yes, he was an aircraft designer, Mr. Juncker. And then we have the other unelected officials from other nations of Europe. But they're all ganging up on Britain, saying Britain are the bad boys, but they seem to have forgot what we did for them during the war. Isn't it funny how these countries turn traitor? And that's what they are, these European no-spine bastards that they are, that should be standing up to immigration and cutting it out. But unfortunately, it's almost like they realise that Germany, France, Belgium, Holland, Italy are screwed, and they want to screw Britain because misery loves bloody company. And we're all in this together. No, we're not. We're all in the Second World War together, weren't we? Well, who became victorious and who bailed them out the shit then? But now they're all ganging up on Britain. We shouldn't forget this moment. If and when we do eventually Brexit, we should let them have it with both barrels and say, right, because if we Brexit, we're the only thing we're interested in is NATO. You can forget your European army. That's the idea of NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, isn't it? That's what America signed up for. America didn't sign up for anything else like the European army. What is the point of Europe having its own army? Why are they so insistent upon wanting this European army? And we're supposed to contribute to this European army. Well, we've got our own army, navy and air force. Look what we did to them and did for them in 1938, 39, 40, 45. And look what we've been doing. We've been protecting their ass ever since. The German Air Force today is a joke. The French Air Force says, well, don't make me laugh. The Dutch, how many aeroplanes they got? About 6. Belgium, ha, what a joke. Holland, I don't know, have they got an air force? couple of planes transport, I suppose, but even the Dutch aren't that supportive of Brexit because they know misery loves company. The Dutch, after all we've done for them with the food drops in Nijmegen and these other places in the war, aeroplanes flying over, stopping them, eating their bloody bicycle inner tubes, they were that hungry. And all the Germans did for the Dutch after the war was steal their bicycles, wasn't it? Well, the Dutch want their bicycles back. I know all about the Dutch bicycles problem. And even now the Dutch want their bicycles back. Long memories, some people. Well, that's my little rant over Earth about Europe, but I think it's quite disgraceful. Theresa May is being bullied. Well, she's not a Brexiteer. It's strange, isn't it, how we've managed to get into this situation where we have a Prime Minister who's passing herself off as a Brexiteer is not. She is a wolf in sheep's clothing. She's as deceptive as hell, this bitch, and she should go. She's a traitor, along with along with all of her cabinet, which are actually German sympathisers. They're German spies. Ask anybody in MI5, MI6. The majority of their cabinet don't answer Theresa May, folks. Theresa May answers to her cabinet. Make no bones about it. Truth be known. Go and read a book called Spycatcher if you really want an education about the corruption of what's going on in the Houses of Parliament and who really is running Houses of Parliament. And it's certainly not the Prime Minister, folks. And it's not the elected officials either that think they're in control. No. But I see a dawning of a new day. I've said it before. We are headed towards a fascist dictatorship. And misery loves company, wants us in. Well, we have a great opportunity right now. It's a one and only opportunity. We got to do that to the bloody lot of them. And pull up our drawbridge and face whatever consequences may come. Because we've done it twice before. We've smashed countries in Europe. And we'll do it again if necessary. But we're such forgiving, soft touch. But the royals are all very quiet about this, aren't they? Have you noticed? You don't see much of the regalia going on right now, do you? No, it's like they've gone and put their heads in their shell, keeping down until the shit's hit the fan and gone, so the royals can come back giving it, oh yes, rule Britannia. She doesn't bloody rule Britannia. Ever. It's a joke. She should piss off back to Germany and take her trogs with her. The bloody inbred psychos that they are, the paedophiles, psycho, satanic, ritualistic bastards. I don't have any passion for the royal family, I'm afraid. But this is an absolute nonsense, but we stand for it, don't we? Our streets in London should be heaving with millions of people saying out means out. I was listening to a politician, it wasn't Jacob Rees-Mogg, who I particularly like. Not bad for a politician, I like him. He's a Brexiteer. He was being interviewed outside the Houses of Parliament last night, and some yobs at the back were shouting, "Stop Brexit, stop Brexit." All I wanted to do, really, was reach into my computer and grab the shit that was saying that and smash him in the face, because he's evidently an uneducated, complete prick if he wants to stay in Europe. Well, as my brother says, well, it doesn't really matter we stay in or out. Is he insane? Of course it matters. Our forefathers, going way back in time, have fought hard for us to be an independent, sovereign nation. We don't want to join a club of losers. It's bad enough we're in the Club of Rome, part of the Illuminati quango. But we've got to understand this, folks. We don't have a choice. We think we're under this illusion that we have a vote. We're under this illusion that what we say matters. It doesn't matter a shit, quite frankly. What's the point of worrying? Because there's nothing the average people in the street can do or say that will make the blindest bit of difference. Nada. So I can see my brother's point. when he says he's not overly interested, he's not playing the game, because whether you have a good day or a bad day is not really dependent on whether you're in Europe or not, or part of Europe. It makes no odds to the average man in the street. It really doesn't. Who gives a shit, quite frankly? Only the businesses, my boy. Well, the businesses, my boy, want to stay in Europe because it has its tax advantages. Okay, big time. And the Lombard Bank, who run this world, I've said before, this little conglomerate of very small numbers of people, families, own the world. And what they want, they will get. Remember what I said about the totalitarian tiptoe, as David Icke calls it. 1 step forward, 1 step back. 2 steps forward, you take 1 step back. 3 steps forward, you take another step back. And then you keep going. Eventually, folks, you'll get there. And this is what they do. Well, I think you've heard that before somewhere. It's a well-known thing. If at first you don't succeed, try and try again. These bastards don't work on 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20 years, folks. They work on 20, 40, 80, 100, 20, 40, 80, 100. Hundreds of years. But it's rather strange. I used to think, well, why would I get so bent out of shape trying to achieve something that's going to take me more than my lifetime to achieve? Because I pass the baton on and someone grabs it and runs with it. This is what they do. They never, 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 never give up. And this separates the 99% from the 1%. The 1% are that convinced that they will come back and take up where they left off. Well, who knows if that's not true or not? I don't know, maybe you don't. We're just so convinced that, you know, if we are reincarnated, we're going to come back as some other little being that's soul that's bunged into a body totally indiscriminately, and we just, you know, go through our lot in life because it's a soul recycling program, don't you think? I think it is, for bad boys and girls, you know, because the soul is delivered into the fetus at around about 3 to 6 months. 3 to 6, yeah, within 3 months. Okay, and this is why it's illegal to do abortions after a set time, because even the law won't let you destroy a soul. It'll let you destroy a collection of cells. And even if it's a formed baby with little hands and arms and evidently a human, you can still destroy it and kill it with an abortion before the soul is actually put in. But there reaches a time and tide of men and women and babies that a soul is allocated to that baby. Okay. And it's during the early stage of pregnancy. And the biggest killer of humans, as I said before in my video, the biggest killer of humans is abortion performed by humans. We are the biggest mass murderers of our own kind this planet has got. We should be so proud. There isn't another species on this world that perform abortion on one another. Only us intelligent humans. What's so intelligent about that? Especially when there's massive amounts of available contraception, if that's what people want. They evidently don't. But we kill millions upon millions upon millions of fetuses, often past the legal age, throughout the world every year. Wars make up for a small comparison if you compare that to the number of people that die in the wars, past and present every year. and look at the abortion rate in this country. The abortion rate makes the war fatalities look positively infantile, excuse the pun. So, in summary, in closing, personally speaking, it doesn't pay my gas bill to leave Brexit one way or the other. Not really. Because I'm not a businessman in that respect. Okay. And as for the future of humanity in the Europe and the way we should treat these people on Brexit, are we going to sit back after being victorious in 2 world wars against the rest of Europe? Don't forget. We were against the Italians at one stage, who couldn't decide what side of the war they were on until they figure out who was going to win. Italian tanks have 2 gears, stop and reverse. Yes. Well, remember Gallipoli? Yes, Italians. Not a brave nation, really. But they did manage to sort out the idiot, didn't they? They hung him and his girlfriend, this arsehole from Italy. El Duce. Well, look at the Italians. Can you take them seriously, really? Can you take France serious? Holland, a country with 130 odd types of different cheese, and does nothing but plant daffodils and tulips and wear clogs. We're not going to take Holland too seriously, because Holland would be basically non-existent had we not done the 9 meg and food drops. They'd have been starving, eating their bicycle inner tubes. And Germany, we shouldn't have let them off so lightly, should we? We should have sorted them out and crushed them when we had the opportunity, and we'd be talking a different game today if we'd done that. We could have used it as a national expansion programme for Great Britain. Germany, East and West, could have been UK too. But we let them keep it. Such is our generosity. We did them so many favours, these European bastards, and not one of them are supporting us being Brexiteers. Not one of them. It's almost like misery loves company and we don't want you to leave. Well, we're going to leave one way or the other. So much for friends. Well, you know who your friends are, don't you really? And it's certainly not the bloody Europeans. Definitely not the French. Definitely not the bloody Germans. The only real Germans that mattered after the war pissed off to America to set up NASA. The scientists and eugenicists, because they were valuable. The rest of the people just stick to eating bloody frankfurters. Not a great fan of Europeans, folks. I'm a little Englander. I'm very proud of it. And I just don't like this country being disrespected in it. And that includes disrespected by our ethnic brethren pouring over our borders, destroying our language and trying to influence and get rid of our culture. Because if we don't stand for something, folks, we're going to fall for anything. Let us stand for Brexit and fight for what we want for a change and learn to keep what we've bloody got for a change. And teach these bastards who they're dealing with for the 3rd time. Catch you tomorrow.